Welcome to the Killer Innovation Show, the longest continuously produced podcast in history. Each week, Phil McKinney brings you the insights and strategies to amplify your creativity and innovation skills. Here's your host, Phil McKinney.
Harvard neuroscientists confirm creative thinking uses neural pathways that AI cannot replicate and never will. Hello, I'm Phil McKinney, and welcome to my innovation studio. And welcome to part 2 of our series, Creative Thinking in the AI Age. It's all about strengthening your uniquely human creativity while using AI as a partner, not as a replacement. In episode 1, part 1 of this series, we explored the alarming decline in creative thinking as we've grown more and more dependent on the use of AI tools. We saw how our ability to solve complex problems without that AI assistance has dropped by more than 30% in just 5 years. And how this cognitive atrophy affects everyone, not just the AI aware, but students, seasoned professionals. Everybody's running to use these AI tools to be more productive. Today, we're moving from the problem to the solution, exploring the revolutionary science of neuroplasticity and how we can deliberately rebuild and enhance our creative thinking skills. What's at stake here goes far beyond just individual convenience. If we continue to surrender our creative thinking abilities to AI, we risk a future where innovation slows, where original ideas become increasingly rare, and where our unique human capacity for breakthrough thinking gradually just fades away. More critically, we may lose the very cognitive tools required to solve some of society's most pressing challenges, like disease and pandemic response and finding new sources of energy and food security, precisely when we need these abilities most. We're already seeing early evidence of this decline, but the science I'll share today offers a powerful alternative, a path to not just preserve, but dramatically enhance the creative abilities that drive human progress. Now, I've seen this firsthand in my work in leading innovation teams. Years ago, I noticed that even brilliant engineers and designers could hit creative walls. When I introduced specific neuroplasticity-based thinking exercises into our daily routines as a team, the transformation was remarkable. Teams that had been spinning their wheels suddenly generating breakthrough concepts. Projects that seemed stuck found fresh momentum. And the most exciting part, the improvements continued long after that initial training. These transformations aren't magic, they're biology in action. Your brain is changing right now just because you're watching this video. Even every thought you have, every skill you practice, and every challenge you undertake physically reshapes your neural architecture. This isn't metaphorical, it's literal. Structural changes happening at the cellular level. This phenomenon called neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. And our claim to reclaiming and enhancing our creative thinking abilities in the age of AI. For decades, scientists believed that brain development stopped, somewhere in late childhood, maybe teenagehood, and that was it. It was locked in. But now, that's entirely false. Your brain remains malleable throughout your entire life, capable of dramatic transformation well into your 80s and beyond. Research has shown that our brains continually remodel themselves based on our experiences and practices and the things we do every day. Think of it as like a path in a forest. The more routes you travel, most frequently become wider and become very clear paths, while those that you rarely use gradually disappear because of the weeds and undergrowth taking it over. Now, I understand some skepticism here. We've all seen these dubious claims about brain training, games and apps that promise to boost intelligence. Most of these have been rightfully criticized for overpromising and under-delivering. The difference with creative neuroplasticity training is that it's not about playing generic puzzles. It's about targeted exercises that specifically engage the neural networks involved in creative thinking. It's targeted training. And unlike those commercial products, these approaches have substantial peer-reviewed research supporting their effectiveness. And I use them, I do them, and I teach them to others. I've seen it work. The implications are profound. If our cognitive abilities are declining due to this growing AI dependency, as we discussed in the last episode, we can deliberately reverse this trend through these targeted exercises and regular practice. Now, let's be honest. Breaking AI dependency is hard. It is not easy. We've embraced these tools. We use them all the time. We have them on our mobile phones. And many of us have developed these reflective habits of turning to algorithms before engaging our own thinking. Our brains naturally seek the path of least resistance. But the research is clear. The effort to rebuild these creative pathways, it's absolutely worth it. And the good news is that even small, consistent practice can yield amazing, significant results. Now, the science behind this is very compelling. A landmark study at Harvard Medical School used functional MRI to train brain activity before and after an 8-week creative thinking program. And the results were striking. Before training, participants showed activity primarily in conventional problem-solving regions when tackling creative challenges. Now, after some training, these brains revealed significantly increased activity in regions of the brain associated with novel idea generation, and it reduced the activity in regions associated with kind of the conventional incremental thinking. What's even more fascinating is that this neural training correlated with a 43% increase in measured creative output. The participants weren't just thinking differently, they were producing significantly more original ideas. This is neuroplasticity in action. Physical changes in your brain leading to measurable improvements in creative capacity. But neuroplasticity works both ways. When we outsource our thinking to AI, the neural pathways associated with creative problem solving literally weaken from disuse. It's a biological principle called competitive plasticity. The brain reallocates resources away from underused functions towards frequently used functions. So what you do gets the priority. If it's about AI, you've deferred that decision making, and that part of your brain has handed it over, and eventually those resources become infrequently used and eventually go away. Now, the good news is that this process is reversible. Even if you've grown dependent on AI for your creative tasks, your brain can rebuild these pathways through deliberate practice. Let me share with you a personal experience from my own work. I was once coaching a senior product designer and their team at a major tech company who were tasked with developing disruptive ideas in an area where 3 major competitors were already investing heavily. You're going to be the 4th player into this space. When we started working together, they were stuck, repeatedly generating variations of the same concepts, feeling really increasingly frustrated and stressed. Management had given them the task, and they were stuck. Brain science would suggest their neural pathways had become rigid through years of conventional problem solving. So, we implemented a series of targeted creative thinking exercises. Within 8 weeks, something remarkable happened. Not only did their idea generation rate triple, but the quality of their concepts had fundamentally shifted. They developed a breakthrough approach that combined elements no one had previously connected, essentially creating an entirely new product category in this area they were tasked to go innovate in. When we brought in AI tools to analyze the solution space, the team's most innovative concepts fell completely outside of the AI's prediction patterns. So, what does this mean? The neural connections they had formed with their training were not following the statistical patterns that an AI model had learned. The product they launched went on to capture significant market share precisely because it operated from a different conceptual framework than their competitors. This wasn't just a professional transformation, it also had a personal impact. This senior product designer reported from feeling a renewed sense of cognitive confidence that extended into other areas of their life. These transformations are not random. The science of neuroplasticity has identified 4 core domains of creative thinking that respond most dramatically to the training. First one, cognitive flexibility. Your ability to switch between different thinking modes and consider multiple perspectives simultaneously. For example, seeing a coffee cup not just as a vessel for liquid, but also as a plant holder, a pencil container, or a sound amplifier. This domain is largely governed by your prefrontal cortex, which neuroimaging studies show becomes significantly more active after flexibility training. The second domain, associative thinking. Your ability to connect something that seems unrelated to form entirely novel ideas, like combining the principles of bird migration with urban traffic patterns to create a new adaptive traffic light system. This involves the default mode network, which strengthens with exercises that encourage unexpected connections. 3. Divergent thinking. Your ability to create multiple solutions to an open-ended problem. For instance, coming up with 20 different uses for a brick beyond construction, such as a doorstop, a paperweight, art canvas, or heat reservoir. Or, like last week's exercise, the unconventional uses of a paperclip. This engages the frontal and temporal lobes, which should increase connectivity after divergent thinking practice. Number 4, constraint breaking. Your ability to identify and overcome hidden assumptions limiting your thinking, such as recognizing when you're asked to connect the 9 dots exercises with 4 straight lines. The assumption that you cannot go outside the imaginary square is self-imposed. This correlates with increased activity in the anterior cingulate cortex, which helps detect cognitive conflicts. And by resolving what are these arbitrary or random or self-imposed constraints, create your ability to see opportunities that others just will not see. Now, each of these 4 domains weaken with AI use, but rebuilds with targeted practice. What excites me most is their practical exercises anyone can use. In my innovation workshops, we've adapted these into a simple daily practice that builds creative muscle memory. While we're in the workshop, we do a 5-minute morning session of rapid association between unrelated concepts. We take a little bit of a midday break and we do constraint breaking, challenges where teams identify and discard hidden assumptions. And at the end of the day, we do a reflection exercise that alternates between focused and diffused thinking modes. These aren't complex or time consuming, they're deliberate mental practices that target the exact neural networks we need to strengthen. And remarkably, participants report greater idea fluency within just days of consistent practice. Let me demonstrate one of those domains with a quick exercise that you can do right now. We're going to focus on cognitive flexibility. I want you to envision a circle, just a simple circle. Now, in your mind, we're going to transform that circle into something else by adding just one line. And then we're going to do this 3 times. You're going to create 3 different variations. You're going to have a circle, add a line, transform it 3 times by adding a line each time. Now, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to do this. I'll wait. Go for it. So, how'd you do? This exercise activates your prefrontal cortex, the brain region responsible for cognitive flexibility. Most people initially create predictable objects, a face, a sun, or a balloon. But as you practice, your brain begins forming less common connections. Advanced practitioners might see a clock becoming a bomb, becoming a planet, becoming an eye. Brain scans reveal increased neural firing in creative regions even during this simple 30-second exercise. You're literally strengthening your synaptic connections that enhance your creative thinking. The timeline of these changes follows a clear and consistent pattern as you do the practice. Within days of consistent practice, creative neural pathways will start to strengthen, showing up as increased activity in brain scans. If you keep it up for 2 weeks, you'll notice measurable improvement in your creative output. By 6 weeks, researchers have documented the formation of new white matter pathways. These are the brain's information highways, meaning participants' brains will be physically different. And at 8 weeks, these changes become stable enough to resist that pull back towards AI dependency. They build up enough muscle strength that they don't fall back into atrophy. This gives us a clear roadmap for reclaiming our creative capacities. Commit to 8 weeks of practice with meaningful milestones along the way. Now, this transformation is remarkably accessible. Just 10 minutes of daily practice can trigger these changes. In our next episode, I will guide you through a complete workout. But here's a preview of 2 core approaches we will use. One is mindful creativity, approaching familiar tasks with deliberate curiosity. For example, during your morning routine, challenge yourself to notice 5 new details about objects you use every day. Pencil and a pen, my water bottle, whatever it is. Challenge yourself to notice 5 new details. This simple practice activates the cognitive flexibility networks we discussed earlier. And then alternating, deliberately switching between focused thinking and relaxed daydreaming. Now, this may look like setting a timer for 3 minutes of intense problem solving, followed by 2 minutes of completely unfocused mind wandering. Now, I suffer from OCD and HDAD. That's easy for me to do. I will wander my brain all over the place, or I will try to organize something. This oscillation strengthens the associative thinking pathways that AI dependency weakens. It's kind of like flexing. Flex it hard, relax the muscle. Flex it, relax it. Now, these aren't just theoretical concepts. They're a foundation of the 10-minute daily workout I'll guide you through in the next episode. Each exercise targets explicitly the neural networks involved in the 4 domains we've been talking about today. What makes this practice so powerful is the underlying principle we discussed earlier. Our brains can physically change based on how we use them. This biological fact puts the choice squarely in your hands. Either you're going to surrender your cognitive processes to AI, or you will deliberately strengthen these uniquely human abilities. Abilities that society will need more and more of and can be used to differentiate yourself in the career and job market. Now, the stakes are higher than we might realize. If we do nothing, if society doesn't do anything, then we face a future of diminished creativity, which means technological progress that plateaus, businesses that can only optimize rather than reimagine, and education that produces technically proficient but intellectually passive graduates. This is precisely what Dietrich Bonhoeffer warned about in his writing on stupidity, not as a lack of intelligence, but as the voluntary surrender of independent thinking. As we discussed in the first episode, Bonhoeffer observed that people became stupid not because they lack capacity, but because they willingly abandoned critical and creative thought to others, in this case, to AI. This surrender happens gradually, unnoticed, as we choose comfort over ease over effort. With AI, we face exactly this choice. Will we surrender our creative faculties to algorithms, essentially choosing the form of creative stupidity? Will we create a society where independent thinking grows rare, not because it's forbidden, but because it's surrendered? Will we accept a world where ideas are judged by their conformity to algorithmic patterns rather than their originality? But it's not the future we have to choose. Join me in the next video in the series for the Creative Brain Workout, where I will guide you through the 10-minute exercises that triggers these neural changes that will help you build stronger, uniquely human creative thinking skills that AI simply cannot replicate. Until then, I'm Phil McKinney, and remember, in the age of artificial intelligence, your mind remains remarkably adaptable. The power to reshape your creative thinking is literally in your hands. If you found the value in today's video, please hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss out in the next episode in the series. Your support means everything to the channel and to me personally. And if you're passionate about creativity and innovation, consider becoming a patron over on Patreon or a paid subscriber on Substack. Links are in the description below. Another way to show support for the channel is hop on over to innovation.tools, our online store. There you can get the Killer Innovation card deck, my book, Beyond the Obvious, the posters, new stuff is showing up there. All the money from that goes to support us being able to create more content for you. And your support is what helps make all of this content available. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Podcasting nonstop since 2005, this has been the Killer Innovation Show on the Innovators Network.